Cabin door open. Definitely 10-foot wave. Swimmers coming to the door.
To tell the story of the Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer program, it's been really a challenge. Nobody's ever tried to do this before.
Okay, here we go.
We wanted to kind of peel back what makes a hero. Why does somebody do this?
I'll be back for you! Don't leave me! Stay! Everybody's taken these guys' work very seriously and tried to be very respectful about what they do.
Increase altitude, go higher.
It was amazing to see the level of detail that goes into making a film of this size.
Start the wave!
It was technologically and engineering-wise a real challenge.
Awesome!
This water tank is spectacular. We have the Bering Sea right here.
All right, come on, get in the basket!
I knew if I was going to do a film about these guys, I would want to do them proud.
And action!
What's unique about this picture is it takes you into a world that nobody has ever really seen before. People have seen movies about firemen and policemen, but nobody's really seen a movie about a man who goes out in the middle of the Bering Sea at night and jumps into 20-foot waves and freezing temperatures and saves someone's life.
We had the help of the Coast Guard early on in the very early stages of the scripting. Spent time at A School, the training facility, went to Kodiak and was able to take a fly out on the helos. And I think all that was invaluable. We were really careful to make it authentic.
Have target in sight. Rescue swimmers away, hold position.
We got to meet all of the heroes of the Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer program, and we fell so in love with these guys, and they were such an important part of the process. I mean, I felt like we couldn't make this movie without their involvement.
We'll get in as close as we can safely, but it's really tough shooting off those boats.
The Coast Guard has been integral to this movie right from the beginning. They have invited us to their training facilities. They have offered up their personnel to us. They acquire the equipment we need.
Cut it, cut it. Start rolling. Swimmer's okay.
We're doing all the big wide shots, all the action stuff, and we're actually going up to the coast of Oregon, up by Astoria. That's where they have one of their training stations, and which was chosen by the Coast Guard because the weather's so choppy.
The film resembles very closely in realism and authenticity what the Coast Guard actually does and how our rescue swimmers do their job.
We, in fact, cast 3 of them to be in the movie. Now there's probably about 8 or 9 of them in the movie. And they range from swimmers and instructors and master chiefs to pilots and mechanics.
What is wrong with you, son? Lay to rest! Get down!
They hired me to come down here with my staff and basically run a boot camp. And we ran it like we would a real boot camp.
Start swimming!
This training is ridiculous. I don't think I could ever in a million years make it through this 18-week program.
Push out of the box, make yourself better.
We started with 8, and when we were finished with the rescue swimmer phase, there's only 4 of us left.
Find something in there, let's go!
It's a mind game. You know, a lot of it's physical, a lot of it's mental. All day long, in your face.
Down here, not up here, down here!
From the get-go, Ashton and the kids really put their hearts into it. And if you looked on that pool deck, you wouldn't be able to tell that they were in a AST school class.
Are you sure you're not going to give up? That's the truth!
I've never been yelled at so much by someone that I respected so much.
Move, 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 move! Hoorah!
Rescue Swimmer 1, 6008. Do you read me?
Come on, Jake, be there.
Kevin Costner is perfect for this role because there's a kind of male power that he has as a leading man and as a sensitive human being.
Limitations without understanding are going to get you killed. It got to me, the mythological quality of someone coming to save you, a guardian.
How far am I going to swim off?
Kevin has spent a lot of time around the master chiefs and the instructors, and he's very hands-on. He wants to know exactly how to do certain things and have a tone.
We got to get to the top.
You watch Kevin, he studies stuff over and over. We train very hard to do our jobs, to be professionals 100%, and it's so cool to be around somebody else that is a professional and really puts their heart and soul into what they do. I mean, he's the best at what he does.
Half the time I just have to check myself because I'm kind of standing there going, it's Kevin Costner, man. But he looks so much cooler.
We got Ashton.
I say let's get it on.
Ashton is a new leading man, and I thought he was perfect for being this spunky, knowledgeable, worldly kid who could take on the mantle of a great rescue swimmer.
And he's really cute.
I'm gonna put some 2 on the gun. I wanted to be able to meet all of the actual rescue swimmer standards, so I trained for 8 months before we started the movie.
Come on, dive in, baby, dive in.
Nice.
Practice breaking through the waves.
Ashton from day one locked right in. Took it to heart, 100%.
He was in the ocean working with the Coast Guard instructors.
There we go, much better.
And he set a standard for all of the rest of the swimmers, the actors and the Olympic swimmers who were part of this team.
Oh, we're going to take a break. The Olympian wants to take a break.
He realized what level he needed to be at. And because of his level of commitment, you could see the commitment of the guys around him come up.
Let's go, Martino! Hurrah, Martino! Get yourself up the deck, Martino!
He's at a level where he could be a U.S. Coast Guard rescue swimmer, without doubt.
He's incredibly fun and spontaneous. Always does something different in every take and tells jokes, keeps things alive, and he just has this great energy and magnetism. We hit it off right away.
Hurrah, 5506! Hurrah, 5506!
Tell them we're going. Everybody's ready. Here we go. Mark. Action.
Lieutenant Krause, suit up.
I want to C-130 over that crash site now.
I've always admired Andy's movies. There's a very sure hand. He's not an obtrusive director. And what's wonderful about Andy's movies is that he tells the story.
They come across as he's doing his dialogue.
He has an incredibly strong visual sense.
There's flame all around you.
This movie clearly needs that because it's big action.
Focus, everybody. Here we go.
I have worked with Andy Davis before on The Fugitive, and I really wanted to work with him again.
This is the more important shot.
He's really great at creating visual excitement and tension, and the way he approaches his films is very powerful, and they're definitely fun to watch.
See you, Chief Randall! Lock it in!
I grew up watching The Fugitive. It's like he directed people to Oscars. When did you turn around yesterday? And so I'm just trying to absorb everything that he has to give. Absolutely.
Andy's pedigree is beyond reproach. He's one of the best, I think, out there.
Good, good. Very nice.
Bird, okay, he's heading towards the vessel.
You know, this movie's set partly in the ocean, and I was really concerned about how we were going to create a character out of the sea, the ocean, that could be a component in the movie. So we created a wave tank.
And action, Kevin.
Awesome, beautiful hit.
Truly building the tank was like making a whole separate movie. We started out, we were going to make it in New Orleans. We got the tank about 80% complete down there.
And sure enough, Katrina hit. We had to abandon New Orleans. The city was just too damaged, and we had to move to Shreveport.
So we started all over again, making in Shreveport.
And Shreveport ended up being a really great location for us. It's interesting how life imitates art.
It's ironic. I mean, it is a great irony of this movie that happened to us when we were making this movie about these guys. And this film really did become tied to Katrina.
They have frequently made wave tanks for amusement parks, but they've never done something like this where you wanted the waves to become very, very strong and hectic.
We actually get over 9 foot of waves. We have 3 wave generators. Each one's 150 horsepower. It has a lot of water in there. It has 750,000 gallons. The bigger it is, the better we like it.
Okay, waves are starting.
We came up with a whole bunch of different wave patterns that we gave exotic names to, like the full roller and the split roller, the double diamond pattern, and that allowed us to tune it to exactly what we needed for these scenes. And then wrapping around behind it is the blue screen, which allows the visual effects department to composite a different background into it.
We pre-plan either in animatic form or in storyboard type form some key things that we want to get into the movie. Creating the realistic oceans that have to go together with the environments. We have a cargo ship that has to sink, and also the helicopter crashing in these environments. Putting all the objects into these environments and keeping them very realistic. There's quite a few challenges in this film.
Let's go! The cave had to be built outside of the tank and then dropped into the tank when we had the opportunity to get to it. But this one had to withstand the enormous pounding forces with the 6-foot waves.
That looks cool, man.
There was a moment where Amari was in trouble and I was holding him up. I'd been out there a long time and I'd already eaten a lot of water too. It was a rough moment.
I got a mouthful of water.
One of the big tasks that I had was to keep the Coast Guard swimmers out of the tank because they all wanted to get in there and play.
It's funny, I had to sign a contract to do the movie that I wouldn't ride my motorcycle or go bungee jumping. And then they got me hanging off of a boat, getting waylaid by waves. It's intense, man.
I really feel like after Katrina hit, that this movie had to get made more than ever.
Imagine that like this, all day.
Their commitment towards that movie has been phenomenal. They've wanted to do the movie correctly in support of the Coast Guard to do it right. They ask us all the time, you know, is this how it would be done? Is this the way it would be? That in itself is just an awesome thing.
I think we're really humbled that anybody would even consider doing a major motion picture about the Coast Guard, and particularly the rescue swimmers in the aviation community.
Both sides, I think, worked very hard to try to make this work, and it's been a great relationship.
We're there to sort of serve them and to tell their story, and it's a wonderful story.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. I am taking in continuous water in the engine room. Require immediate assistance.
Okay, sir, let me confirm your position.
I think that's what's unique to being a human being, that someone will risk their life for someone they'll never know. That's what should make us proudest of who we are.
Okay, basket is going down.
So others may live is the motto of the Coast Guard, and that's what their lives are about.
How's they going to keep that baby alive in a world like that? I don't know. We got 4 people coming up to the mat.
They're heroes. I mean, they go out and save people's lives for a living.
I got it.
I think that's a pretty noble profession.
Have target in sight. Rescue swimmers away. Hold position.
It's the second oldest service, been around since 1790, and their mission is to save lives. Their mission is to protect the coast.
We're getting hearts. Rescue swimmers outside the cabin and going down.
The mission is very diverse. You can be responding to the ocean, and you could be lowered to a mountaintop to get somebody out of an aircraft crash. You could be lowered to a boat to render EMT response.
And there is no more exciting, terrifying, fun flying than flying with the Coast Guard.
And this job is not for everybody. It takes a certain type of individual to do this line of work. I tell my students that one day somebody is going to be counting on you, and you are going to have to depend on your physical ability to get there.
I remember a boat got hit by a rogue wave out in the Gulf of Alaska, probably 125 miles offshore. Rogue wave took that boat out. You know, those guys went down in 2 minutes. And when we got out there, they were in a raft. It was at night, pretty good seas, and I could barely catch that raft, swimming as hard as I could with fins on and everything. And I grabbed a hold of that line, popped my head inside there, and there was 5 guys, hey! And it was kind of exciting for all of us.
Just last week, I was called out twice to go pick up a heart attack patient, and also a man took a sailboat out and was lost. And we got both of them.
Since I've been in the Coast Guard, the hardest thing next to school that I've done, it was rough out that day. It was blowing like 40-knot winds. The boat was halfway underwater, and I see 1 guy, and I see 3 guys, and then 5 guys, and I sit there and I kind of take a deep breath, and I ask myself, are you ready for this?
Doesn't matter if it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're up and half an hour later you're in the air. It's a very rude awakening sometimes.
I think Katrina really brought out what a Coast Guard rescue swimmer is, because we were plastered all over the national media. It was the Coast Guard rescue swimmers you saw going down to the roofs, pulling people out. We were all working 18, 24-hour days around the clock, pushing ourselves to the limit.
The sun was going down. On my way out the door, they handed me this crash axe and said, basically, good luck, go get him.
I've been flying for over 10 years, and Katrina was always this theoretical, fictional story that everybody had in their mind. It's like, what if we had to save 33,000 people? And sure enough, that's what the Coast Guard ended up doing.
I think cases where you lose children stick with you the most because those are the ones that really sear into your brain.
My first hoist was down to the 2nd story of that apartment building, and they handed me their baby like it was nothing. And I was so terrified for that baby, of him starting to squirm or wiggle, you know, for not knowing any better. The flight mech said when I came out from underneath the roof that he got chills because his son was about that same size. That was bad, that one, but then I did 3 more and they weren't as bad as that one, but I don't think I'll forget that first baby.
My wife has been a very strong woman through my whole career. She's been one of the reasons that I've kept my sanity these past 25 years.
All of a sudden somebody's in the water or something, and then you go right into your zone. I love you, but I gotta go, you know?
He's very humble about things, and so then to hear from other people how dangerous it really was, oh, okay, yeah, he really does have a dangerous job.
Oh, bad swell.
You just gotta have faith. You can't worry about it, and you just gotta trust that if that's the way it's gonna play, you know, God will be there at the end.
My son, Nick, he's a rescue swimmer now. He's up in Cape Cod. He's in the game.
And although Nick is grown, he's not all grown up to me. He's my boy.
He was in boot camp and he asked me, Dad, I hope you don't think I'm a follower by following in your footsteps that way. I go, you can follow me all you want, but that ain't going to make it. It's going to have to be you. You know, it's going to be 100% you.
It's a job. It's a great job. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
It can be a very dangerous business, but luckily there's a lot of happy endings.
There's nothing like looking at their face when you're helping them out. Their eyes are this big, and you get to help them, and that's a cool thing.
I have volunteered to put myself in harm's way for somebody that I don't know. So I better be ready when that call comes in, because that's my calling as far as I'm concerned. And I don't take that lightly, and I never shortcut it. The Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer motto is, so others may live. It's so others may live.